Dear friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be diving into another great room on the TryHackMe CyberLens. And in this video, I'd like to showcase how to utilize Metasploit to conduct penetration and exploit the vulnerability. Before we go ahead, if you don't mind, please subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. So now, let's head over to Kali Linux to begin with. To save time, I've already conducted the Nmap scanning to save time of this video. So now we can get out its result. Let's scroll up a bit. So as you can see here, I took the options like scene scan, the version scan, default, script scan, followed by the ON to output the result into this file. Although you can notice here the IP address has been changed since I respawned the target machine. Anyhow, this will not affect our demonstration. From the Nmap scanning results, we can tell the target machine has several open ports. The first one, 80, its surface is HTTP or Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And also we can get its version information, Apache 2. And the next three ports are used by Windows, file sharing surface, like very similar to Samba, okay? Or we can call it NetBIOS. And the last one is 3389, and its surface is terminal services or, remote desktop. And we can get like the machine name. Of course, you can append the host name to the host file if you want, but this doesn't affect anything, okay? So what shall we do next? I think first of all, I'd like to emulate the file sharing surface with utility SMB client, okay? SMB client with uppercase L, followed by the IP address of the target machine. I'd like to get its IP address from the notebook. Unfortunately, we got the error, session setup failed. We need to some sort of, credentials to access. All right, it's okay, it's all right. So now it's time to emulate the web surface, both manually and automatically, since at this point, we do not have credentials for remote desktop, okay? Let me fire up the browser to perform manual emulation first. And we can put the IP address of the target machine into the address bar of the browser. Press enter. So CyberLens. Let's scroll down. Image extractor. So with this, we have mastered the arcane arts of metadata extraction, and that all-seeing eye that gets into the depths of files, extracting the hidden truths. With the CyberLens image extractor as our trusty sidekick, we delve into the very fabric of digital images, peeling back layer of metadata to expose the unseen stories of the yen to tell. What it's about. Maybe we can save this image to our Kali Linux. Sorry, they should be TryHackMe and we can save. So now I think we can upload this image to see what or how this application is behaving. Okay, so now let me locate the downloaded image, open get metadata. However, it seems it failed to retrieve metadata. Probably this site or this application is not functioning properly. All right, it's okay. And let's scroll up, and we need to, make additional research on this site. So this is this about, and the contact. And also we need to check its source code. As you know, sometimes source code can reveal something sensitive or other types of important information. So some kinds of header, scroll down to the bottom. So here, script, JavaScript. We find this should be the host name, and this is port number. As we have seen from the map scanning results, we didn't discover this port number. So maybe we need to note this down to our notebook. We can copy and put over here. So what this code is doing. So add the event. So this function is binding to this object, right? And define some variables, reader, so reader file. And then we upload a file to this port number, right? And then catch. Anyway, we have already found this new open port, maybe. But before we delve into this port number, I'd like to complete enumeration with the 80 port number first, okay? For example, I'd like to check to see whether this side has robots file or not. We can copy the IP address from notebook. Robots not found. Next, we can launch Nicto to perform automatic enumeration. So Nicto, the server or the version information, even we're given. So actually the target machine is Windows. Interesting. The target machine is not Linux. Wow. And some kinds of header, but they are not useful. In the meantime, we can, prepare the command for, the directory enumeration. Maybe I can open new tab. And let me navigate to working directory of this video. And we can use Gobuster, although you can use other tools, okay? Like dear search, dear Gobuster. But for me, I will use this one. And followed by the -W option to specify the word list. Word list, Gobuster directory, extension option. Press enter to see what we can get. Let me go back to this tab. And here, find images directory. Let me take a look at this images directory. Nothing unusual, right? Or nothing is suspicious. Let me go back. Contact, about. I don't think that can give us anything useful. So how about this one? It seems Nikto is dead. I don't think so. But anyhow, possibly Nikto cannot give us anything useful or important. Let me interrupt here to save time of this video. I think one of the reasons why Nikto cannot give us additional information is a bit slow speed, internet speed, okay? And images. So I think, meanwhile, we can take a look at the new port number we found from the source code, particularly or specifically JavaScript code. Let me take a look at this port number to see whether this port is open or accessible or not. Let me bring back the browser and we can put the port number in the end. So we can copy this port number. Hit enter. Welcome to the Apache Tika. Even we are given the version of this server. So what Tika is? We can use Google to make some research. As a matter of fact, Tika or Apache Tika is a content analysis toolkit. This toolkit detects and extracts metadata and text from over 1,000 different file types. Although just now our testing failed, okay? So possibly this toolkit or this application is vulnerable. Okay, so let's go back to the terminal to see what we can get. All right, I do not have more patience to wait. So next, I'd like to launch such a sprite to check whether this Tika is vulnerable or not. Yeah, indeed, Tika application is vulnerable. Even Metasploit framework has corresponding module. Okay, so let me launch Metasploit console, and we can use the command msf console and with Q or quiet mode. So this will not display the banner when it's loading to save time. So next, I'm going to show you some of the most important commands with Metasploit framework. Okay, the first one is search, and followed by keyword. What I'm doing is looking for module which will work for this vulnerability or for this application. So Tika, and so I think this one is I'm looking for, and we can, next we need to take the second command, use, and followed by the, the relative path or the index Okay, for me, I personally prefer this way. I can copy the relative path of the module and give us the no payload configured defaulting to this one. So indeed, the target machine is Windows. Just now we have already discovered, and we can try the default payload first. If this payload doesn't work, and then we can try different payloads. Okay, and if you want to, set different payload other than this default one, we can use the command set and payload, and you can use the tab and show you the all possible, the payload. Okay, and of course we can use Windows, and then we can use the tab key to help us to autocomplete the command. Okay, anyhow, here in this case we do not right now I'm not going to change or switch the payload, and we can run command show options, and so we can have a look at different fields or options which are required to configure. For example, the local host, of course, we need to set it to our Kali Linux. I'd like to get the IP address of Kali Linux from my notebook, and then set local port number. You can set any free port on the Kali Linux or local machine, okay, like 555. And then we can set the remote host to our target. I can copy the IP address from the notebook either, and we can run show commands, show options commands again. Make sure we do not miss any required field. So remote port number, we need to change. We need to modify remote port to, so this one, very high port. Okay, so I think that's all we have to configure. Now we can run command run to see whether we can get the Meterpreter session. So now, as you can see, it's sending put request to the target machine on this address, and even show us the progress of such sending. Okay, 100% is done. And then sending stage, Meterpreter session 1 opened. Fantastic. So now we can run command like get user ID, and the username is CyberLens. And also if you can run, we can get the system information. So the architecture, the version of operating system. And if you want, we can get interactive shell by command shell. Okay, so now we can go to the root of this machine, run command dir, and go to users folder or directory. Okay, and then we can go to the CyberLens and go to desktop. And then we can get or grab the user flag without any difficulty. So what are we going to do next? Of course, at this moment, we do not have permission to, okay, sorry. CD administrator. Access is denied. So up to this point, we have successfully penetrated into the target machine and got the access as normal user CyberLens But we cannot stop here. We need to make a privilege escalation to administrator. So how to do? And next, I'm going to use, the post exploitation module of Metasploit. Okay, let me show you what happened. So what we need to do, we can background the current session by pressing keys Control and Z. And do it again. So now we can search suggester. And we can use this module. This module can, make or can gather information, particularly gather vulnerability, and then we can choose appropriate vulnerability to elevate privilege. Okay, so now we can show options. The only one option is required to configure session, set session right now. Of course, at this moment, only one active session. Okay, so now we can set the session to 1. And then we can run it. So now this module, the local exploit suggester, Linux, if the target machine is Linux, and there is another, we can do the same step to gather a vulnerability on the target machine after we can get the foothold on the target machine. Okay, so now it's collecting local exploits for the target machine. To see what we can get. So now it's running check on the discovered exploits. The first one is vulnerable. Of course, although here we can see 3 possible modules, but this one is vulnerable, but this one appears to be vulnerable or possibly is vulnerable. Without question, we can take the module to elevate privilege. Okay. So now we are waiting for prompt of Metasploit console, and we can use this module. And then we can show options. By default, we do not need to change the payload. Okay. And we need to set localhost to our Kali Linux. We can copy and set local port number. We can choose another port number like 66 and set remote host to, or we do not need to set show options. So we can set session number 1 and then we can run it. So uploading executable of MSI to the target machine. And now it's executing this executable or MSI. And now it's sending stage to the target machine. After that, I think we can get another Meterpreter session. Okay, fantastic. So now we can get user ID. Yeah, indeed, this is administrator. You can run help to run, different commands for this Meterpreter session. Okay, for example, we can background, and also like we can migrate to another process, for example, for persistence. Okay, but in this case, it's not necessary. So now I want to run command shell, and we can go to users and go to administrator, desktop, because we need to grab the final flag. Okay, so admin, we can type out this file. All right, we successfully got back the final flag. All right, so I think that's all for today's video. In this video, I have already demonstrated how to use Metasploit framework to conduct pen testing, or specifically conduct exploitation. And after that, I also use Metasploit to perform post-exploitation. Okay, so thank you. Thank you for your time and attention. I'd like to see you next. Bye. Have a nice day, please.